We really should be paying more attention to what's happening at the World Economic Forum right now because it has world implications for all of us. Joining me now is my friend Jordan Schachtel, independent journalist and publisher of The Dossier on Substack, which I would highly recommend because he's an actual journalist. All right, Jordan, let's begin with this. World Economic Forum, everyone hears Klaus Schwab looking and sounding like a Bond villain over there. But Americans, are there Americans over there?
There's a lot of Americans there, both Democrats and lots of Republicans. It really gives you the sense that there's most certainly a ruling class / uniparty in the United States. And interestingly, Jesse, they're not really publishing much about their presence at the World Economic Forum this year, which makes me think that our side is doing a pretty good job of exposing this nefarious organization.
I like it. Who are some names we should know on our side? It's not a surprise the communists all went over there. What Republicans are over there?
So you have Governor Larry Hogan of Maryland. You have Senator Pat Toomey, a couple other Republican senators and governors. You have the mayor of Miami, Francis Suarez, some influential congressional Republicans. It's very unfortunate to see, but my goal is, so the World Economic Forum claims to be this nonprofit group, but it's a hyper-political organization. And I get why the libs are going, but there should be no reason why a Republican official goes to this globalist organization, which their whole ideology is premised on stealing your fundamental freedoms. The whole "you will own nothing and be happy" bumper sticker was formatted by the World Economic Forum, the Great Reset, Build Back Better, all this stuff intended to steal your individual freedoms. Those are all World Economic Forum narratives. So I have no idea why Republicans are there.
Jordan, the American media, there's a great and very appropriate meme going around online. I've seen it 1,000 times, where it basically just displays the American media as just being mouthpieces for the powerful now. What's the American media saying about this group of elites over there plotting to take our freedom and private property?
Yeah, so I just wrote about this at the Dossier earlier this week. And the World Economic Forum has a brilliant strategy when it comes to which media outlets it allows into the doors at Davos. You see our friends at Rebel News and elsewhere reporting on the outside of the World Economic Forum, but they're not in because you need to partner with the World Economic Forum to be allowed into the facility and into the whole setting over at Davos. And what they do is these media organizations, the New York Times, CNN, Reuters, Wall Street Journal, all of the big corporate press outlets, they pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for access to these global elites. And of course, when you're literally on the payroll, when you're paying out these enormous sums, you're not going to ask hard questions of Klaus Schwab, who makes all of this access possible to you. It's a mutually beneficial relationship between the corporate press and the ruling class. They're really one and the same. That there's no objective journalism going on inside the gates of the World Economic Forum's annual meeting.
Jordan, you just said hundreds of thousands of dollars. It doesn't cost that much to fly to Switzerland. Why are they spending that much money?
So they have a really interesting format. So in order to get invited to this annual meeting, first of all, the World Economic Forum will screen you to basically be narrative compliant. As you can see in the headline, you also need to be triple vaxxed or at least show proof. And these people, who knows if they actually took the shots, but they have a doctor on the payroll, I'm sure, because they're very wealthy. And then once you get in, you need to become a partner to the World Economic Forum. And then in addition to that, you have to pay for your ticket. And that runs up an enormous tab. My guess is, after calculating these numbers, that each attendee is paying at least $250,000 just to get into that event. And the World Economic Forum entirely compromises them by making them part of this group. So whatever they advocate, now these organizations and individual partner entities, they need to also stand by this crazy climate agenda that they're pushing, because now they are official partners to the World Economic Forum.
$250,000. I was thinking about going, Jordan, but I decided it's probably not for me. Maybe not this year, maybe next year. All right. What is the focus? These things usually have a theme. What's the theme this year? What big scary thing are these elites going to save us from?
So one of the dominant headlines, if not the most dominant headline that ties into everything, is that, and you've been raising awareness a lot about this, is this Marxist climate agenda. And there is no room for debating the climate agenda and the so-called green transition. The debate is really over how soon they can rob us of all of our rights in order to institute all of these crazy policies to deal with this so-called climate crisis.
Yeah, no, okay, so it's all one big climate change pile of fear stuff. And I did see the e-safety commissioner, I had to read that again because I didn't even know there was such a thing for Australia, had something very interesting to say about freedom of speech. And at the end of this had something about child dignity. Here she was.
We have increasing polarization everywhere, and everything feels binary when it doesn't need to be. So I think we're going to have to think about a recalibration of a whole range of human rights that are playing out online, from freedom of speech to the freedom to, to be free from online violence, or the right of data protection to the right to child dignity.
Online violence and the right to child dignity. Jordan, could you translate that for me, please?
Yeah, essentially they envy the Chinese Communist Party's surveillance state, and they want to model our global future after that, involving just robbing everyone of their fundamental rights and liberties. They cannot say that outright, so they talk about, in these nuanced terms, how we need to recalibrate freedom of speech. Yeah. There is no recalibrating our freedom of speech. These are unalienable rights. It goes to show the extremism that is exemplified at Davos. You would think that because all of the elites show up, that they have some kind of like mainstream ideology here, but no, they have, it's an extremist ideology to its core. They want to take away your rights, make you eat bugs, drink Bill Gates's poop water, and they want people that subscribe to this depopulation agenda, which is what it is. It's the most extremist worldview, and it categorizes humans as beings that shouldn't be here, and that opens up a whole can of worms and the possibilities that they would entertain to get rid of us, because these people do not value human life. In fact, they see human life as something that needs to be clamped down upon.
Good grief. Finally, supervillain, true supervillain. I still can't believe that. You know what? I'm not going to go into it right now. George Soros was there, and he brought up Russia, Ukraine.
The invasion of Ukraine didn't come out of the blue. The world has been increasingly engaged in a struggle between two systems of governance that are diametrically opposed to each other: open society and closed society. Other issues concerning all of humanity, fighting pandemics and climate change, avoiding nuclear war, maintaining global institutions, have had to take a backseat to that struggle. That's why I say our civilization may not survive.
Global organizations was the part of that stood out to me. What global organizations is he talking about, Jordan?
Yeah, he wants to protect the interests of himself and his buddies, and this means protecting the current organizational government in Ukraine as it stands. This really has nothing to do with some type of like fundamental morality. George Soros, when he says, I would love for everyone to be able to live in an open society, but when George Soros says open society, he means like open society where there are no defensible borders and everyone subscribes to this crazy globalist worldview. I think George Soros is there just to protect his interests, and I'd rather not fight a thermonuclear war against a power that has thousands of nuclear weapons so George Soros and his buddies can have their interests protected.